Hi, a big update on my AERL home storage battery. Finally sorted out the issues with the gateway. You've seen the videos on that, but now I have access to the individual battery like data, and I can see all the live data. This is in addition to whatever I get from my solar analytics system. But yeah, I'm now on the AERL cloud, and let's take a look at it, shall we? Now, AERL don't just make batteries, so they make chargers and inverters and stuff like that. So if you had all of the AERL stuff hooked up, like if you had an AERL inverter, you could go in there and you could look at this and you can see the power flows and all that sort of stuff. But I've got a DI inverter, and so the only thing I've got is the battery here. Okay, so this page doesn't tell, well, it gives me like the battery power, and you can see that's started to ramp up this morning, started to charge as the sun came up. So it was drawing like there's my residual power last night, overnight. Our house now draws, like probably 270 at lowest, up to 500, maybe 600, something like that overnight. It depends on where, if all the fridges switch on at the same, fridges and freezers, we've got 3 of those, switch on at the same time. We've also got a whole house ventilation system as well, so we've got that running 24/7, and all the usual phantom power, things that we've got on. So, it's still not too bad. But anyway, so the battery got down to 58%, SOC is state of charge, so I got down to 58% last night after charging 100% yesterday. So yeah, we lose like half of that 25 kilowatt hour battery capacity nominal. I do take mine down to 50. I think I've currently got it set to 15%, something like that. So I drain it down to 15%, and then I'll cut out to improve the longevity of the battery. Anyway, you can see it started to ramp up there this morning. Cool bananas. Would have been nice if, you could scale these graphs and it had axes on there. It's great that the cursor works great. You got the exact time, but it would have just been nicer to have that expanded up a bit, but I can't click on that. I can't do anything like that. So anyway, we've got battery voltage, battery temperature, and that's really cool. But all of the good stuff comes when you click on the battery here, and here we go. We are connected. State of charge is currently at just jumped up to 83% there. Where I'm fully charging at the 5 kilowatts now. Is it 11 a.m.? No, it's not 11 a.m. yet. So this is all coming from my solar, because I've got my 3-hour free charging window. Say that 3 times quickly. My free 3-hour charging window from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day, where I can use as much energy as I want from the grid for free, because we have so much excess solar here in Australia. They're literally begging people to take it for that 3-hour window. So I've got my timer on my DI inverter set so that it'll charge the battery regardless of what the solar's doing. From 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. it'll charge that thing at 5 kilowatts, because I've got a maximum 5 kilowatt inverter. It goes slightly over, there we go. So that's coming from, so that's a limitation of the inverter. That's not a limitation of how much solar I've got or how much we can charge from the grid. That's like the inverter can only charge the battery at 5 kilowatts. So it's charging it at absolute maximum. It's a balmy 18 degrees there. So yeah, the battery is not getting hot at all at 5 kilowatts charging, but we're nowhere near its capacity, because we've got 5 different batteries in parallel. Each one is individually sharing 1/5 of that 5 kilowatts, so each one's only charging at 1 kilowatts. So it's 17 degrees outside, there you go. And so we've got 5 working batteries. Charge open, what is that? No, I don't know what charge open or discharge open is. Is that the switch? That might be the breaker on the front or something. I don't know. Offline, there's no offline unit. And cell extremes. So this is if there's any bad cells inside this thing, remember this is like a nominal, like a 48 volt pack or whatever, 57 volt pack is at maximum cutout voltage. So there's lots of batteries in series in these things, so like big series string of them, and then a whole bunch of them in parallel. So you do want to see if there's any bad, if any cells are going bad in there. So that gets you maximum minimum cell voltage is 3.379 and maximum cell voltage is 3.386. I guess that'd be across all 5 modules, because this is just an overview. And then I've got my energy stats, total charged, total discharged. There you go, 10,000. So 10 megawatt hours total discharge from my battery. That's pretty cool, is it not? Installed capacity, yeah, 25.6 kilowatt hours, and the state of health, 99%. It's estimated 410 cycles. And by the way, all the firmware has been remote updated. Peter's got access to the back end to update the firmware. The user can't do that, but he can just remote update all of my batteries, because I had very early batteries that had very early firmware, so he's now gone and updated all the firmware in those because we had a little bit of an issue. So that looks like it solved that. And the cell balance delta, the maximum differential between the cells, is 7 millivolts. So that's pretty schmick, right? Yes, that's why it's in the green there. I'm not sure, where the danger Will Robinson threshold is there. But anyway, system status here, everything's clear, but we've got under voltage warnings, over voltage, over temperature, over current, short circuit, system fault, disconnected, high voltage warning, low voltage warning, high temperature warning, and high current warning. So it's got warnings coming out the wazoo. I don't know if it automatically emails me if something happens. I have to ask Peter that. That'd be cool. I want to be alerted, please, by email. Email's the best way, because it knows my email. I'm logged in with my account. So it should, wonder if it emails me. If that's not an option, make it so. Anyway, so system status, and then battery modules down here. So I've got 5 battery modules of 5 kilowatt hours each, and that's the current voltage, and they're all charging relatively. Remember, they're all just in parallel, so they've all got to naturally share the charge current, and that's not too shabby. 18.7, 20.8, 18.7, 18.6, 18.2. So that little module 2 there in my rack, so that'll be the second one down in the rack. That's, gulping a bit more current there than the others, being a bit greedy there, but it's all naturally sharing. There's no, controller that actively constant currents into the 5 different batteries. They're just naturally balanced due to their internal ESR and whatnot. And the electrochemistry and all the rest of it. So anyway, we can go down in here, and then we can get the maximum differential, maximum delta in the cell voltages in that one module. So you remember up here that we had this, and this was just like an overall thing. Then we can drill down into the individual module down here. So we can't get each individual string, but I'm sure they're monitoring inside. It's just that would be just a flood of crazy information, but it's good that we can get it inside the module, the minimum and maximum, and then cell voltages, and then you get the maximum delta like that. So 0.1%, right? It's pretty right. That is totally matched, right? That is absolutely fantastic. So if any one of those strings inside any individual module gets out of whack, then we're gonna know about it here. We won't know unless Peter could probably find out maybe in the back end data of then inside the module which of the individual parallel cells has actually gone faulty. So I'm sure it's logging the data from each individual string like that. Is just not going to display it. So if you really want to go down to the individual cell repair level, you could do that, I think. Anyway, that would be my guess. But yeah, it's cool that we can get the overall delta for the individual module and the minimum maximum cell temperatures, and everything's hunky-dory, huh? Isn't that cool bananas? This is great to have access to this. So I don't know how often I'm going to look at this. It's kind of like a set and forget thing, but when you want to go in and every month might go in there and have a squiz of is the delta getting a bit high on that module? That's a bit, it's getting a bit, how you doing? And so I actually had a problem with module 4 here. Module 4, we think it was a firmware, because we had a mix of different firmware versions in these modules, because I originally had these 3 installed here, and then I bought 2 more at a later date, and they would have had a more later firmware, and we didn't have the gateway, and I didn't have a gateway working at that time. So yeah, we couldn't update the firmware, and this one eventually was blinking the yellow light on it, and it was shutting itself down safely. Shutting itself down, and we believe that was just due to a firmware like a very early beta firmware mismatch kind of thing. So once they're all updated now, it's working fine. So everything's hunky-dory. And so that module wasn't damaged in any way whatsoever. And it was out of whack. Even when I put it back in, it was the balance of it was out of whack with the other batteries. So the other batteries charged up that battery, and it's all now balanced and hunky-dory. So no issues there whatsoever. So yeah, very happy with that. It's a really cool looking interface. So that is cool bananas. So yeah, I have to check. I want an email if there's anything. If once there's a sniff of an imbalance in one of my batteries, I want to know about it. So I'll find out if that's the case. If it is, I'll update it in the comments down below. But anyway, just wanted to show you that. Catch you next time.